Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of AJ Podcast. So, today we have a one another guest. So, in today podcast, we are discussing about the fascinating world of AI and its impact on the Indian legal system. So, today we have Vaibhav Shukla, a partner at AVR Legal and an experienced lawyer who has been advocating the use of AI in Indian litigation as well as so, guys, in this podcast, we discuss how AI and ChatGPT can utilize to streamline the Indian legal system and improve access to justice for citizens. We explore how AI and ChatGPT can improve the accuracy and efficiency of legal research and drafting legal documents. Vaibhav also sheds lights on some of the current limitations and challenges facing the use of AI and ChatGPT in Indian legal system. So we delve into how AI and ChatGPT can enhance dispute resolution in India, particularly in arbitration cases. We also discuss how Indian legal profession can embrace and adapt to the use of AI and ChatGPT in their day-to-day practice. We examine some of the specific example of how AI has been used in Indian litigation and arbitration cases, how AI can use to reduce bias and promote fairness in the Indian legal system. So Bhav also talk about the potential ethical concerns surrounding the use of AI in Indian legal system and how they can be addressed. So guys, welcome Bhav.
Uh,
So
Thank you
Bhav
so
is
much. Yours as
Vaibhav
well.
is yeah. So Vaibhav is also my older friend. Okay, so I connected with him around 2020. So till now he is my friend. So Vaibhav, tell me little bit about yourself.
So I've been practicing here in the Supreme Court. I've been practicing in the Delhi High Court. Uh, I have had extensive practice in the field of patent laws, trademark laws. Uh, Also, I have decent practice of criminal law. I have developed as an arguing counsel over these years, and that is all that I can say without revealing about the clients.
Great. So Vaibhav, first and foremost, when you introduced with the chat GPT, so what was the first time you used the chat GPT and what's your experience with that?
So I have been using AI assistance has been there for a very long time now.
Okay.
Google Lens based AI was the first introduction that I had with AI,
Yeah,
and that has been an extensive help in drafting and uh, getting to know what the translation of certain documents are. But
yeah,
that being said, I have been using Chat GPT and its assisted other AI options of OpenAI for
yeah,
past 6 months now, and I have learned that they tend to help out the advocates. Personally, me, I cannot say that every advocate would be helped by that. It would be able to help everybody, but personally I believe that it has helped me a lot. It has made certain efficient changes in uh,
yeah.
my career. So that
Okay.
is the reason I discussed with you over the phone as well, that the potential benefits of
Yeah.
this particular technology.
Yes. So Vaibhav, so you experience with that, and apart from this, so how much productivity it can increase? For example, it can reduce your work, or as well it increase the way of doing your work.
See, when you're starting out as a lawyer, mostly,
Yeah,
you and the people you are associated with, they
yeah,
work with certain framework, certain mindset with
yeah,
which they approach a particular case, right?
yeah,
Uh, in that regard, in that aspect, since your college days
yeah,
and when you join the profession, until and unless you meet the other side, the
yeah,
party who would be going to oppose you,
yeah,
right? Until that point in time, What
yeah,
happens is you create an echo chamber around yourself, wherein you consider your idea to be so great that
mm,
it becomes almost unbeatable for you. But later on, you find out when you are in the court that that was not such a great idea. So now it is too late to change.
yeah,
And in that regard, you would require somebody to contradict you on a very legal point, right?
yeah,
I and in that regard, I believe because it's a chatbot based AI, you can very well yourself give them prompts.
yeah.
It takes time, obviously,
Yes,
but if you can give them prompts, and after that you can discuss your problem along with them. And in that regard, when they start to contradict you, you find you break that echo chamber that you had created.
yes,
So it is more helping lawyers debate themselves on the grounds that they are to create for the particular case. So that is what I believe as the is the primary focus of AI as of now.
yes, yes, of now. So, uh, Chat GPT and AI to be utilized to streamline the Indian legal system and improve access to justice for citizens.
Right.
Yeah,
So India is a very diverse country as far as
yeah,
languages go. You are from Madhya Pradesh, but I am from UP. We don't speak the same Hindi, although we come from a Hindi heartland belt, right? The accentuation that we add to the language, that changes from places to place. There might be certain local words which you or I we don't understand. In that regard, want to point out there is this particular project that the Supreme Court of India has undertaken, whereby Supreme Court orders, which are usually in English, are to be translated. Basically, the most effective, the most important orders, the most important judgments are to be translated in 18 languages, 18 recognized Indian languages, so that the people can understand what laws are governing them. Right. In that regard, first step has already been taken. Secondly, Supreme Court has also started transcribing live transcription of the arguments that are being presented before the court. So that although increases burden on the lawyer who is arguing, right? Because he has to be now more conscious of what he is to argue. But in that regard, it is making the arguments as well available to the general public and to the students who, before this particular thing was brought into question, was not aware as to how the arguments proceeded before the court. They are told the theory, they are taught the theory, but how arguments are to proceed, mostly they are unaware. So it has made it easier for them. And it is the integration of AI which has made it easier for them.
yeah. So, apart from this, so how can AI and Chat GPT be used to improve the accuracy and efficiency of legal research in India? Because research is most important in every domain of this country, every domain of every domain in this world. Okay, even it's a engineering, even it's a medical. So research is always there, and research can improve the existing system as well. So, what's your opinion? How can AI and ChatGPT used to improve the accuracy and efficiency of legal research?
See, what I am about to tell you might not be liked by many people, considering uh, it is not a very good term to use. That most of the lawyers, when they're doing their research, they utilize uh, Google, right? They
Yeah,
find certain information on Google. Uh, Having said that,
yeah,
it has what chat G, for that matter, Bing ka AI has made it easier for you to find information which was already available on the internet. You can now find the most effective information that was required.
yeah,
Now, I'm not really sure that if Bing Web AI is as effective as they claim it to be, but if we consider that it does 30% of what it advertises, it would make it very easy for you to find information. Setting that aside, I have already told you that there is a issue of echo chamber being created among lawyers. So that idea, that in itself, see, efficiency of research works on two aspects: you finding the information fast, and the second being that you find the information which is correct. So internet pay, you can find articles which are old and not effective anymore, the laws which have changed over time, but they still exist on the internet. You personally cannot go there and remove them, although you can comment, ask the creator to remove those comments. But in most cases, you find that they are used by people, especially if you are a lay person who's unable to understand his own problem, right? If a person who has no understanding of the law, he searches what issues can he take before his lawyer so that he is better represented. Now that particular person may find certain old acts, some old precedents, and would not be able to connect when lawyer tells him that these would not be effective anymore. There have been instances where, especially in a very dynamic law like a taxation law or a corporate law, certain uh, older generation of lawyers, they tend to not find, although do not find the correct notification, or for that matter a new person who's just joining a practice, who's just getting into practice, is unable to find the notification or the correct notification for that matter. That being said, there are websites which are available for lawyers like SCC. So these websites, they have their own AI based software which tend to find that which judgment has been overruled and which aspect of that judgment has been overruled. So that has been in constant use since a very long time. Since I believe SEC has that feature since 2015. So that is something which is there. But to find that particular keyword, you need to use Google, Bing AI, or whatever is available to you. So that can be found. That can be found on the AI that you might end up using someday.
yes. So my another aspect is, for example, to implement something on any field. It's not so much effort. To implement an AI and to implement a new change in any field, it takes a time. It takes a year. It takes decades as well. So how can Indian legal system adapt to the use of AI and ChatGPT code and legal processing and improve the drafting of legal documents?
Okay. See, there are multiple forms of AI which are existing right now. Machine learning based AI, deep learning based AI, and I have had few people, I've met few people who are developing AI which can help in consultancy. Um, I cannot name them because their products are patent pending.
Yeah,
That being said, as of this moment, we don't have an AI which can effectively draft an argument. An
okay.
argument document is a would be a leap forward,
Yeah,
but it cannot even draft an argument properly as of this moment. But what I have heard about GPT-4, that
yeah,
it is able to clear US bar examination. So if that is the case, I have not been able to try GPT-4. I've still used 3.5. I haven't used 4. So if it is able to do that, I believe it would be effective in drafting those arguments, in presenting a case brief. But
Yes.
documentation per se would still require a human review.
Yes.
But it would definitely make it easier for a person to review a better drafted document. But just reviewing those documents would save a lot of time, right? And they may make a standard clause agreement, but
Mm.
they would be able to a person would be able to tweak those agreements, tweak those queries to suit a particular need. Having said that, in these 6 months, I have seen AI take leaps from GPT-1 to GPT-4, which
Okay.
I am told would is able to clear US bar exams 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Uh, if that is the case, I am 100% sure within next 6 months we will have those AIs which would be able to draft a more coherent, more viable drafts than most lawyers would be able to.
Okay.
Of course, lawyering in itself requires much more than just drafting.
So, Vaibhav, could you give a could you give an example of some people, like for example, there is a person who is a Ram, okay, and take an example and take a, some take some imaginary character and give an example, because it is important for the everyone to understand what expect you are preferring for the draft.
Uh, okay, let's take an example on that.
Yeah,
फर्ज करो एक आता है मेरे पास में,
yeah,
he has certain commercial issue,
yeah. Okay.
and that commercial issue
Suppose
uh,
we Ram or Sham, who has a
okay,
commercial. Yeah,
okay, so Ram is running a company,
yeah,
and that company had entered into an agreement with other company and had
yeah.
sublet them certain property which was pending lease upon them,
Okay.
right? एक लीज है जो शाम के पास है,
Ah,
उस लीज को effectively मतलब Sham is not able to use it, so he has sublet that property to Ram.
so what
Now,
is your sublet?
see, I don't own the property, but
Okay,
I've been given charge of that property.
okay, that is sublet.
That is leasing. So I have a lease over that property.
Yeah,
Now, if that lease would allow me, I can
yeah,
give this property to somebody else as well.
yeah.
So that particular process would be called subletting. So Sham has subletted this property to Ram. There is third person, Babu Rao.
Babura. Yeah,
So Babu Rao owned the property.
yeah,
Just a second, excuse me. Sorry. Uh, Babu Rao owned the property. Now Babu Rao wants the property back.
yeah,
But Babu Rao would not ask Sham to return it.
yeah,
He will ask Ram.
yeah.
Because Ram has
So,
the property right now.
yeah,
But Babu Rao has no right over Ram. Because
yeah,
Babu Rao never gave Ram the property.
yeah,
So in that regard, Babu Rao will have to ask Sham.
yeah,
Sham will ask Ram.
yeah.
This increases the process.
Okay,
Now, Ram decides not to leave that property,
okay,
and he decides to sit on it. He, there is this particular term in Tennessee that you have to recognize your landlord. If you decide not to recognize your landlord, your right over the property ends right there.
Okay.
So, but in this particular situation, Ram ka landlord is Sham, not Babu Rao, although property is of Babu Rao. In that regard, Babu Rao will have to drag Sham into picture. This makes a very complex case with three parties involved,
Yeah.
right? Because of that complexity, you'll require there would be lengthy paperwork. You'll require somebody who can go through the paperwork and
Yeah.
find out particular articles.
Okay.
We already have technology which can create OCR, optical character recognition.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy for you to find a particular clause in the agreements, particular subletting clause, and everything.
Yes.
But
That- uh,
if AI progresses, where
Yeah.
it would be able to draft,
Yeah.
now that AI can recognize the pattern in the contract, and
Mm,
it can create a scenario where
mm,
Babu Rao profits because he is your client,
mm.
and they can prompt you as to how you proceed,
Okay.
thus increasing your efficiency. Hypothetical, it is in the future, it is not here right now,
Yeah.
but the progress that is visible, it
Yeah.
would be here soon.
Yeah. Okay. So,
And I 100% believe that within next 2 to 3 years, it would be lawyers who are using AI
yeah.
who are winning in the field, rather
Mm,
than lawyers who decide to stick with their traditional methods. Same thing happened when internet revolution came into picture.
that-
Although age in itself is a very big factor in law,
Yeah.
so a person who is aged is
Yeah.
considered a better lawyer. But a boom in number of good lawyers after the
Yeah.
internet age, because now they could easily afford internet based research engines, right?
Yeah.
This AI revolution would actually would create another boom for these tech savvy lawyers to be
Mm,
able to create their niche where
mm.
they're able to better represent the client.
Exactly. Yeah.
Courtcraft, theatrics would again depend on the human
Yeah.
who is using those techniques. But
Yeah.
this is something which would happen in the future.
So, another thing is I have some type of curiosity. So what are some of the current limitations and challenges facing the use of AI and ChatGPT in the Indian legal system?
Okay, see, the point is our laws
Yeah.
are diverse, but not to the extent where they can you require human angles in law.
Okay.
There, there are certain human issues which cannot be limited by the language of the law.
Okay.
Now, how a particular AI is coded, it see AI still is the machine language where it understands one, where it understands zero, but
Mhm.
it doesn't understand there can be something in the middle, which is a half,
Yeah.
right? So that issue comes here as well, because you have codified laws. If you enter those codified laws into picture, the issue of bail, which is of a human angle, which
Yeah.
is about showing certain say I have had a person whose father was ill. He was in for a crime which was very severe. Now
Suppose
just
we take example of Pathan. Okay. Person name is Pathan.
okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Right.
so uh, Uh, this person, Jim,
yeah,
had
yeah,
committed significant crimes, right?
yes,
Uh, this person was in jail for
yeah,
past 3 4 years,
yeah,
and this is a real life example. He was in jail for past 3 4 years, but his father was not well now, and he was the only child. That in itself requires a human aspect, because wo- law dictates, and the public morality also dictates, that a criminal like that should not be allowed on bail,
okay,
right? Public morality is not is guided by is guided by sentiments. जितना ज्यादा हॉरिफिक क्राइम हो जाएगा, उतना ज्यादा पब्लिक मोरालिटी उस आदमी के अगेंस्ट हो जाएगा, राइट? बट a judge has to understand that
yeah,
law dictates that if that particular person, his father, is unwell, he should
yeah,
at least be allowed to go visit his father. And that human aspect cannot be given by an AI.
yeah,
AI would only understand the two, either out or in.
yeah,
But on that bail aspect only, AI
yeah,
can very well articulate that whether a particular person is a flight risk.
right, right. Exactly.
Flight
Risk
if
prediction is done by machine learning easily,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly,
Even in the
exactly.
bank as well. Yeah,
So one of the most basic issues while granting somebody bail is whether somebody is a flight risk or not. So
okay,
if you are able to assess where his potential of uh,
yeah,
absconding, you
yeah,
would be able to better solve this issue on who should be granted bail and who should not be.
okay. Right.
That is the current limitation, as well as what is the potential use of AI in the present situation.
So, for example, as I talked to you over the introduction about the arbitration cases and as well as discussed earlier as well. So, could you define what is arbitration cases? Give an
Okay,
example of Sita and whatever case.
तो आर्बिट्रेशन बहुत बहुत बढ़िया चीज है. जब
Yeah,
से इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ है, इट हैज हेल्प्ड इंडियन कॉर्पोरेशंस अ लॉट.
okay,
So arbitration is resolving your disputes without going to the court.
yeah,
What you require is, you require certain things. You require a venue of arbitration. So you decide, the parties decide where that arbitration will happen.
yeah,
You decide the seat of the arbitration, which
yeah,
basically means where what laws this particular arbitration would follow. Putting it very simply, not getting into the legal jargons. तो
okay,
वेन्यू डिसाइड हो गया, कहाँ पे बैठे हैं. लॉ
yeah,
डिसाइड हो गया, कौन से उसका है. अब इसमें कुछ स्टैंडर्ड लॉज है.
okay,
Indian arbitration center laws, Delhi
yeah,
arbitration center laws, Mumbai
yeah,
arbitration center laws. Like
yeah,
if you go international, London arbitration center laws, Singapore arbitration, which is the most common, the most sought after arbitration laws, rules basically,
yeah,
uh, and Dubai,
yeah,
which is covered. There might be many in the US as well, but these are the ones which I have personally dealt with. So I am best able to represent them, and they come to my mind
yeah,
when I talk about arbitration.
okay,
ये दोनों चीज के अलावा, you need an arbitration clause. So while you are entering into an agreement with some other company, some other individual,
yeah,
you give a clause कि
yeah,
ये वेन्यू रहेगा, ये
yeah,
आर्बिट्रेशन के रूल्स रहेंगे,
mm,
ये आर्बिट्रेटर रहेगा. तो बेसिकली द पर्सन हु इज गोइंग टू जज यू, यू डिसाइड,
yeah,
और बोथ द कंपनीज म्यूचुअली डिसाइड हु इज गोइंग टू जज देम.
yeah,
और उसके बाद में विद इन अ सर्टेन टाइम लिमिट, which is not usually more than a year. So सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम लिटिगेशन का यही होता है कि
mm,
a person is stuck in litigation for many years.
Yeah.
तो अब उस पॉइंट पे यहाँ पे टाइम लिमिट है,
Mm.
और इसका अवार्ड आप कोर्ट में कुछ सर्टेन सर्कमस्टांसेस हैं जहां पे आप चैलेंज कर सकते हैं, बट
Mm.
फाइनल अवार्ड होता है ये, आपको कोर्ट से सेटल नहीं करवाना उसको।
हाँ.
तो इस सिचुएशन में कॉर्पोरेट्स के लिए बहुत ज्यादा फायदा, सबसे ज्यादा फायदा तो कॉर्पोरेट्स के लिए ही हुआ है, बिकॉज नाउ दे कैन एंटर इनटू आर्बिट्रेशन, रिजॉल्व इश्यूज फास्टर,
Yeah.
गेट टू अ सोल्यूशन।
Yeah.
और इसके लिए सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम्पल अगर कोई है जिसमें किसी कॉर्पोरेशन को फायदा हुआ है, देयर वाज दिस आर्बिट्रेशन इन विच इंडिया एज अ कंट्री lost around lost a few billion dollars to
Mm.
while the arbitration was held in a international chamber of arbitration.
Mm.
So and then there are other arbitration issues, like there was this particular issue जहाँ पे एक कंपनी ने दूसरे कंपनी को अपने कुछ एसेट्स बेचे थे। मतलब एक फैक्ट्री थी, अब
हाँ.
फैक्ट्री भी उसको ने बेच दी,
Yeah.
ठीक है, बट अंदर के जो मशीनरीज थी
Mm.
उसने वो बेचने के लिए एक दूसरा अग्रीमेंट किया,
अच्छा. Mm.
और उनमें से एक अग्रीमेंट पे
Mm.
आर्बिट्रेशन क्लॉज एप्लीकेबल था, बट दूसरी में आर्बिट्रेशन क्लॉज नहीं लगाया हुआ था। तो
Okay.
बिना आर्बिट्रेशन क्लॉज लगाए हुए यू
Mm.
कैन नॉट एंटर इनटू आर्बिट्रेशन।
Okay.
बट देन बिकॉज कोर्ट्स उसको इंटरप्रेट कर सकते हैं, this these both agreements had a clause where these two agreements were to be read not separately but
Yeah.
together, क्योंकि
Yeah.
दोनों सेम कंपनी को बेचा गया था और बाकी सब भी। तो
Mm.
क्योंकि ये दोनों चीज साथ में पढ़ी जानी थी,
Mm.
दिस आर्बिट्रेशन क्लॉज जो लिमिटेड नहीं था सिर्फ एक अग्रीमेंट से, वाज मेड एप्लीकेबल ऑन द अदर एज वेल।
Yes. Yes.
तो जो इस टाइप के इंटरप्रिटेशन क्लॉजेस होते हैं,
Mm.
दिस थिंग प्लस, अब इसमें एआई कैसे यूज में आता है।
Mm.
एआई का सबसे बड़ा जो बेनिफिट है इज गोइंग थ्रू द डिटेल्स ऑफ एक्सेल शीट एंड फाइंडिंग आउट द आउटलायर्स, राइट।
Yes.
If it is a corporate that has been in connection with the other corporate entity for a very
Yeah.
long time, the
Yeah.
balance sheet in itself would be enormous. तो जो आउटलायर्स, आउट परफॉर्मर्स और ये सब है,
Mm.
जिनको पॉइंट आउट करना है आर्बिट्रेशन के लिए आपको, जिनके
Mm.
बेसिस पे सेटलमेंट क्लेम बनेगा, वो
Mm.
सारे पॉइंट आउट करने के लिए यू रिक्वायर somebody to either invest his entire day, year, month on that claim,
Mm.
or you
Mm.
can run it by an algorithm which can now find out these outliers, point it out to you,
Mm.
and now you have, after a small review of that, you
Mm.
find out that whether it is all right or whether you
Mm.
require something else as well. So, in that way, it makes it easier for the arbitrator, the corporation, the person who's arbitrating, the advocates who are arbitrating this matter,
Yeah.
to find out what would in future help them out.
Okay. So, for anything to be adopted by any domain and any field, for example, if engineering wants an AI for any feature, for any automation of the task, automation of the running pipelines and whatever is there. Okay. So they need a key benefit. Okay, so just like what is the key benefits that AI can provide to the Indian legal system?
See, मेरे एक टीचर थे, उनका ये कहना था that law and technology are
So
on two opposite ends of the spectrum. The
it's when to this value.
हाँ, but what he used to say was कि law is law exists to create boundaries,
Okay.
and technology exists to break them.
Okay.
In that regard, every law that is created to check and balance technology
Yeah.
would be broken at some point in time,
Okay.
right? Key factors in that regard is to make law as dynamic as possible.
Exactly.
अगर हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में अमेंडमेंट का इशू दिया गया है
Hmm.
या हमारे कोर्ट्स को जुडिशियल रिव्यू दिया गया है, द वेरी रीजन वाज टू कीप दिस लॉ डायनामिक.
Yes.
एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम आपका लॉ डायनामिक रखने के लिए यू हैड टू कीप अप विद ह्यूमंस.
Yes.
नाउ इन टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड लॉज, स्पेशली जब क्रिप्टो आया, उसकी वजह से जो माइनिंग हुई, इलीगली सिस्टम्स पे लैच करके माइन करा जाने लगा,
Mm-hmm.
ये सारी चीजों को आपको काउंटर करने के लिए यू रिक्वायर डायनामिक लॉज. And to keep up with this kind of technology, you need counter from other kind of technology. In that regard, if law is to create boundaries, it has to utilize technology to create those boundaries.
So you
That
say
is
that instead of a one law can do, because law has a certain boundary, it can only cover these types of expect these types of use cases. Okay. If
right.
someone, example, if someone can copy something, okay, then there is a no life that is there. So it does not make sense to you can do something a punishment punishable act to someone who copied it. Okay. For
Mhm.
example, if I copy your text, okay, then there is a no law because there is a no life.
नहीं नहीं,
So you,
ऐसा नहीं है. There is law.
I
See,
just giving an
नहीं,
example.
it wasn't just I understand, but just to
Yeah,
clarify, एक और एग्जांपल देता हूँ. So I told you in the very start that I started out my practice in
yeah,
intellectual property laws. So one
yeah,
of the main feature of the intellectual property law that I practiced was trademark law. Trademark may you registered somebody's trademark, and
yeah,
now to keep track of that trademark.
yeah.
So every Tuesday I believe or Monday,
Mm,
ट्रेडमार्क की वेबसाइट पे
mm,
एक कुछ पीडीएफ्स अपलोड करी जाती हैं जो
okay,
उस हफ्ते की अप्रूव्ड ट्रेडमार्क्स के होते हैं,
okay.
राइट. तुमने जितने ट्रेडमार्क रजिस्टर करवाए हैं अभी तक,
Mm,
बिकॉज दे हैपन टू बी योर क्लाइंट नाउ,
mm,
what you do is you have to sort through every trademark option. तो
yeah.
46 जो ट्रेडमार्क कैटेगरीज हैं, उन कैटेगरीज में जो ट्रेडमार्क अपलोड हुए होंगे,
Mm,
उन सब को यू हैव टू सिफ्ट थ्रू. एंड इफ यू हैव एक्सटेंसिव प्रैक्टिस, सो यू
mm,
माइट हैव हैड मल्टीपल clients on all categories of trademark, right?
mm,
तो हर कैटेगरी की जो बुकलेट आएगी, sift through that, find matching trademarks which have been registered and
yeah.
object against.
So coming back to your example, that for example, you told me that yeah, AI can do make a flexible law that can
Uh-huh.
make personalized. Am I right? Yeah,
See, that is something. See, there are certain works which require very tedious and labor intense. There are certain labor intensive work in this field of law, and if you are able to dedicate a function, AI function,
yeah,
to that labor intensive law,
yeah,
part of law,
yeah,
you as an individual, as a lawyer, are
yeah,
able to dedicate more time on something which would produce better results,
yeah.
right? And in that regard, I'm sure that this would help.
Okay. So, one another challenge that I face, for example, because our Indian judiciary is more on the papers. I understand all of the details of the Supreme Court are on the website. It is available. We maintain a very good report, right? On the basis of case number as well as petitioner name. As you told earlier, about 2 3 years ago, I asked the same question. So, what about the other high court, district court, and the labor courts? They are still operable on the paper, or they are they are also digital era.
It's a step by step process, right? So when COVID started, before that,
Yeah.
everything was happening through paper only.
Okay.
After COVID, after
Yeah.
COVID, Supreme Court started online filing.
Yeah.
Although the
Okay.
process was put in place before that, but
Yeah.
it became rampant, more rampant. Delhi High
Okay.
Court, as of this moment, is taking only online filings. So if you are able to work without a paper,
Yeah.
you can appear in Delhi High Court, have no paper with you, if you are able to use tablets or whatever, your laptop.
Correct.
So if you are able to do that, in that regard, Delhi High Court is setting highest precedents. For coming back to the Supreme Court, Supreme Court, as of this moment, most of the judges, they don't use paper books.
Okay.
They use their own laptops, they
Yeah.
use their own tablets, they use the court given huge monitors which they
Yeah.
use for their files, and all the files with OCR, uh, with bookmarking is provided to them,
Yeah.
and they can sift through it faster.
Yes. Exactly.
Same thing happens in Delhi High Court,
Yeah.
and same thing happens in ये क्या कहते हैं, NCLAT.
And what?
NCLAT is the Company Law Appellate Tribunal.
Okay.
So only company matters are taken up there. If there are certain people who obviously use paper books still, but
Yeah.
then you have to understand that there is a limitation as to who is comfortable with what. I personally, if you can see right behind me, there are few files. So these are old files.
Yeah.
Uh, these are old files. So they require, they cannot be scanned. They require hard copy. Once they are put through certain processes, you can create soft copy of them, but
Yes.
then in most cases it is illegible, because
Exactly.
हमारे केसेस इतने लंबे चल जाते हैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट में, ट्रायल कोर्ट में, कि till the time they reach supreme court, high court, it has been over years, paper is rotten, तो उसको स्कैन करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. But something which happens faster, uh, can be scanned faster, and in that regard you would be able to better represent that paperless.
Yes. So, I have another. So, how can AI we reduce biasness and promote fairness in the Indian legal system? Because biasness is everywhere, and for most of the things are not do at a proper time. There is always biasness is always a, for
uh,
example, if in a court, what about Indian legal system according to you?
okay, see, biasness, although I personally believe that
Yeah.
whenever a case is represented, it is represented with a bias. The
Okay.
person who's sitting, I would be representing my client's biases over the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
My opposite side would be representing his client's biases over the case, right? Problem is not a lawyer's bias. Problem would be in cases of a judicial bias in a particular matter. And I personally have never, almost never felt that there is a bias, because the judges in India, they go such rigorous training in their field, and they have to spend such time. See, you can have bias if only one case comes up to you every day, but you'll have to quit your bias if there are multiple cases that are coming before you every day.
yeah,
Because at one point in time, even as a human, you become detached with the emotions. That biasness is what? Exercise of emotion of the person, right? The
we
sheer
say this as well as some past conditions and they put up in front of people. So yeah, you are correct. Emotion is also one of the factor for the bias, and another the past precondition that is according to the book by starting.
So there may be certain judicial members who are very positivist in their nature, right? So they follow letter of law.
Okay.
There are certain who follow spirit of the law. Then there are certain who are very progressive in their outlook, and they would be willing to come to a compromise over the position, and they are able to find a solution for both parties.
Yeah.
So that is something that is up to the person, but
Yes.
that is what makes the judicial system work. You
Yeah.
have to punish certain people
Yeah.
very strictly in
Yeah.
order to uh, represent or preserve the sanctity of the situation. If you
Yes.
are not punishing certain people, that would in itself cause chaos in the society. So
Exactly.
certain bias is required. Although AI, as of this moment, we have seen multiple news articles where AI is biased towards certain races, because AI
Yeah.
in
And
itself is pulling information from the internet only,
yeah,
and
it's
that
from data. Yeah.
so that biasness is coming in AI as well. So
Yes.
until and unless we can weed out the biasness from AI,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
particular question would remain unanswered.
Exactly. So, so could you discuss some of the specific example how AI has been used in Indian takes of legal action as well as the arbitration cases?
There have I from the very start I've told you that
Yeah.
AI was integrated into Indian legal system. AI has been integrated into Indian legal system since 2015 or before. I know it since 2015, right? जहाँ पे there are there are multiple websites which use certain factors as to which are the connected cases, किस केस से इस केस का कंक्लूजन ड्रॉ किया गया, या यहाँ पर कहाँ पे कौन सा केस ओवर रूल हो चुका है, उसका कौन सा पार्ट ओवर रूल हो चुका है. That was all through AI. After that, through certain smaller factors like AI based image searches, which
Yeah.
was which is something which is, I believe, best provided by Google as at this moment, because सबके phone पे you can, किसी भी phone पे you can download Google Lens, you can read what has been written in some other language. It has made it easy, although error होते हैं उसमें, बहुत सारे error होते हैं, but at least you get some idea as to what is the issue.
Yeah.
Then Indian judiciary has in on this 26 January Republic Day, it
Yeah.
had announced that it would release multiple cases. I believe it was over 30,000 cases in all the Indian languages. That was done through AI. Then live transcription is happening. That is also being done through AI. Then lawyers, they themselves sometimes use these, especially in agreement, so that there are certain clauses of agreement, the language of it can be corrected through AI. That is how AI as of this moment is being used by Indian legal system. it's a there is room for progress. Obviously, there are certain codes which have not even shifted to computer based legal system as of now. Delhi mein almost all courts have video conferencing, but I don't believe that in the remote areas of the country there would be video conferencing. So it's a step by step process. Capital city ने adopt कर लिया है. So, in the course of time, maybe every city would be able to adopt that, and after that we can imagine that every city having AI based systems. But AI is would be best suited for
Yeah,
small claims,
yes,
like challans.
yeah,
AI can best resolve the issues of challan, of small claims like 50 rupees, 20, 30 rupees, which
yes.
will come up.
So apart from this, what do you think are the potential ethical concerns surrounding the use of AI in the Indian legal system, and how can they be?
So, future seems, where I'm sitting, future seems brighter for a person who is using AI, especially a lawyer who is using AI. But then you have to take into consideration that this AI would not only be available to the lawyer, this is an AI which would also be available to the citizens,
Exactly.
and they can now make a much more informed decision as to who they wish to approach.
Yes.
In that regard, they would have better information about the lawyer who would be representing them as well.
Exactly.
Because if you have represented somebody and
Yeah.
that order is available to public in their local language,
Yeah.
now that particular person or a group of person was a similar matter, they approach you, so they know your limitations as well.
Yes.
And finally, the most important part is this would act as a leveler.
Okay.
AI would act as a leveler.
Yeah.
We say that about a lot of things, that this would act as a leveler, but AI, and they usually don't, but AI and I talk specifically about these AIs which are easily accessible, like chatbots like ChatGPT or
Yeah.
Google AI. These,
Yeah.
because they are available to everybody
Yeah. Internet.
without any additional cost. They
Yeah.
act, they provide particular person, uh, be it a young lawyer who is just starting out, or be
Yeah.
it a senior lawyer who has been practicing for a very long time.
Yeah.
Same, uh, they bring them to on a same speed to
Yes.
certain extent, right? तो efficiency एक young lawyer का ज्यादा और एक senior
Yeah.
lawyer का थोड़ा और बढ़ा देता है,
Yeah.
and that is the main crux. Because in the country like India, where there is huge pendency of cases, and
Yeah.
abhi recently Justice Chandrachud in the India Today conclave said that this shows the trust of Indian people in the
Yeah.
judicial system, that
Yeah.
uh, and that trust would continue to build, and so would the pendency. This
Yes.
efficiency would lead to that pendency coming down.
Yes. Okay. So, last but not the least, I would like to ask if anything I missed out and we are not covered, so feel free to.
I'm sorry, I missed the I sub-
So, is there anything, something I missed out? So please discuss.
No, I think we covered almost everything that is available to us as of now.
Yeah.
We might require something else after I have already tried GPT-4. We'll need another session for that. But if once we have tried GPT-4, once we have had the access to the new AI technology which is coming out, we we are at this moment very naive to even comment on what would happen in the future,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So as of this moment, this is what the future looks like to me.
Yes.
Should things change dramatically in the field?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe Terminator like end is coming. If that is going to happen, this becomes pointless.
No, some of the AI experts write a note, write a letter to the Elon Musk as well. He stopped working on AI because now in our days the thing is कि we cannot control if AI goes in the negative side. As well as the Terminator gave a very fantastic example. You can correct things that are right.
For that matter, I believe Chat GPT ka is also there is a darker version where it
Yeah,
is not very censored and it gives out very random.
yeah.
Uh,
It
uh,
there. Jailbreak is there. It can do anything because ChatGPT is trained in such a way, in a very decent way that me and
I've
a
heard.
citizen can do. Okay, but for the jailbreak, na, it can do anything. It can like a real chapri of Indian. Uh, we have in the GitHub, na, they can provide a full of the documentation and it can do anything. Yeah, it can write the codes in the way that what is Miami. So people say the city and you can define everything about the real thing what Miami is right now.
So in that regard, if Terminator like future is coming, this
Yeah.
podcast might save us because we have praised AI a lot in this podcast.
Yes. So thank you so much everyone for listening this, and this book is available on internet on Amazon India and Bharat Puri. So you can purchase from there and I can put up the link in the description as well. So thank you so much for everyone for listening this. Okay, podcast.